Hey, it's Rachel with Rachel Kohler Dog Training, and I'm here with Susan with Pack Leader Dog Training, and we're here for our weekly Q&A.
Hey, good to be here.
Yep, it's
This is
always
time
my
number
favorite day of
10.
the week. Oh yeah, we're on Q&A number 10.
Yes.
Say what? It's gonna be 100 questions answered
Yeah, by the end of
at
this
the end of
show.
this one.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Mhm. So we'll
Go
jump
ahead.
right in.
Yep.
Number one, when someone knocks on the door, my dog barks, grabs a toy, and whines for about 5 minutes. How can I stop this?
So there's a few different things you can do for this. Um, the first one would be you can correct the bark. So if you mark that bark with a no, you could just correct the bark in itself. Um, that would be whatever type of correction you want, prong collar, e-collar, like a bonker, water, whatever. As far as like the grabbing the toy and the whining, that's because your dog is just like in an aroused state of mind. So for that, my go-to would just be put the dog on place. So you could even practice this and like you're smiling. Okay. You could even practice this by making it not a big deal. So I would do like doorbell drills. So I would put your dog on place, have someone ring the doorbell, have them come in, have them leave, have them knock, have them come in, have them leave, and just do that over and over and over with your dog just sitting on place. Any whining you would want to correct, or anytime they would break place, you would want to correct. But after practicing that, um, over time, your dog's going to learn that, okay, it's not a big deal when the doorbell rings because I just have to be calm. And then you can reward them for that. So the dog's going to think, okay, when I am barking and acting crazy, there's a correction. So,
Hmm.
like, I'm not going to choose to act that way. But when they're on place and they're calm, they eventually get rewarded and can greet the guest if that's what they want. So they're going to learn that's the state of mind that they should be in.
Right.
That'd be my go-to.
Yeah, perfect. Everything I was going to say, place is the perfect command for this. Because the fact that your dog is doing this, um, they're left to their own state of mind and they're just making frantic choices because they're
Mm-hmm.
just like overly aroused. So most dogs, actually, I would say all the dogs that I've met, thrive being told what to do. So exactly what Rachel said, you could correct the barking, and now your dog's left with, well, I can't bark, so now what am I gonna do? So then they'd grab a toy, they'd circle, they'd whine. So you'd say no to that bad behavior, and then you're like, don't do this, but go do this instead, which is
Mm-hmm.
what plays would do. And I wouldn't go right to doorbell drills with place. You teach place first, and
That's a
then
good point.
after you know that command really well, then you start adding distractions. So they're already good. They're already going to know that place is for being calm and just going to sleep. And so then you start adding in the distractions, and then they're kind of set up for success that way. So don't just go right to teaching place and then knocking on the door because you're going to get really frustrated because your dog's going to
Right.
keep breaking.
Right. No, that's a really good point. Like they need to have a solid understanding of what the place command means. I like that. I also like how you said most dogs you've known, actually all the dogs strive on structure, like
Yeah.
the structure. And I thought that was really funny because just, oh gosh, like yesterday or the day before or something, I was thinking about that and I was explaining it to somebody. I was like, yeah, like most dogs, they just really need like structure, or whatever. And then I like stopped and I'm like, all dogs benefit from structure actually. And like I
Right?
had that same like, wait a minute, like I've never met a dog who like when given structures and boundaries and guidance,
Like does worse.
yeah,
Or
right,
doesn't like it. Yeah, that's
yeah,
why I stopped myself and I was like, no, I can't say I've ever met a dog that did not like being told like what to do.
right.
They're just so much more relaxed.
Mm-hmm. So it was funny because I like had that same aha moment the other day. So leading on to our next question, number 2. It's election day, and as a result, my stress and anxiety is through the roof. I think my dog is picking up on my anxiety because he isn't acting like himself. Is that possible? If so, how can I help him?
Yeah, so I don't know about Rachel, but I am a firm believer in like dogs pick up on your energies. In fact, if you see me train with a dog, I talk very minimally because they read your body language and like your energy. So if you're anxious and nervous, it is more than likely that your dog is also anxious and nervous. So short of helping yourself, like doing something to make yourself feel better, um, you can just have your dog do a calm activity, which would be place or like a lay, or have them go to the kennel. Like if you're in a situation, where, you can't not be anxious. Like let's say a loved one's in the hospital and they're very sick, you know, I tend to separate myself from my dog. So there was one time where I was really upset. My one dog passed away, and I didn't want my other dogs to pick up on that. Like obviously they know something's off. But I had my dogs like in a different room while I cried about that. Like I had to get over or like get through that. So if it's something that you couldn't help, then I would just, do your grieving or like processing away from your dogs to help them. But if it's something like the election and you're anxious or nervous about it, you could just put them in place or in a lay. Just an activity like that that's calm, that kind of would help to calm their state of mind.
Yeah, I think you said like everything I was going to say. I was like, go to place, but if you're like not in a place yourself where you can even monitor your dog on place, because we still have to hold them accountable for their commands. So that was exactly my thought process. Put them in place if you can, but if it's easier for you, they can just go in their crate. And the great thing about crate training is it's fine. Like it's okay to just put your dog in their crate. That's their calm spot. That's their happy spot. Their dog, like they're okay. And then you can like do what you have to do to like help yourself. But yeah, that was my exact thoughts. Place or crate.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. My young puppy stops eating his food a week or so after I purchase it. I can't seem to find a brand he likes. What do you suggest?
So, hear me out here because it's going to sound a little crazy.
I was waiting for you to say like your snarky little comment, like you're like, I was waiting for you to be like, deal with it.
Tough crap. Tough. Okay, so yes, I don't know. I was like, let me like answer this very like gently, because here's the thing. The fact of the matter is, like what Susan was anticipating, it's just tough. Like, you know what? Your dog is going to eat when they're hungry. So I'll just give my very blunt answer and then I'll be nice, right? Tough crap. Your dog is going to eat. So your dog will not allow itself to starve to death. Like it's natural, like primal instincts or whatever. It will not starve itself to death. So eventually when it gets hungry, it's going to eat the food that you bought it. A few things come with that as far as like not having free feed, right? So if you set your dog's food bowl down for 5, 10, 15 minutes, then you pick it up and that's it. You don't get to eat again until the next meal.
See, and Rachel, he's like good at me because like I'll set the dog's food down. Mm-hmm. If they smell it and walk away, I'm like, okay, I pick it up and they don't get it till the next feeding. So Rachel's even being nice.
I like that you said in fact for that. She's even being nice. No, I mean, they can have some time. Like, I don't actually know that would be 15 minutes, but like 5 or 10 minutes, if you're not showing any interest, if you're not going to eat it, then the food comes up and it goes back down at the next feeding. Because the truth is the dog is playing you. Like they're waiting to see if you're going to add something better, right? So chances are one time your puppy didn't eat. So you sprinkled some cheese in there, or you put some water in their food, or you put some treats on top, right? So now your dog is waiting. So your dog is going to go up to its food bowl. There's going to be no treats on top, and they're not going to eat it. And then you're going to add the treats, and then they're going to eat. And then the next time, they're not going to eat it with the treats, and then they're going to see what else you can add, right? So they're like playing you a little bit there, would be my guess. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I think I was going to just be nice about it, because, like, I know it's hard, like, because you want your dog to eat, right? They're your baby. But you have to, like, know as a parent, right? You want your kids to eat their fruits and vegetables. So you're going to sit at the dining room table until you eat your fruits and vegetables. No playing until after that, right? So same with the kid, with the dog. Like, you're going to eat your food or you're not, and then you can try again at the next meal. Right. And I've completely, like, lost my train of thought and, like, shut up stupid for a minute.
No, it makes sense, though. It's like they are going to test you because, like you said, you probably, or the owner most likely, one time noticed they didn't eat right away and then added something better. And so now that's dogs thinking pictures, so that's their picture. Oh, if I just don't eat that right now, something better is going to be added to it. And I'm not that hungry, so I'm going to wait that out.
Right.
But then you're like, no, I'm not gonna add anything better. Like you're just gonna eat it. And I've had several dogs that I've had to do that to through board and train. And it's probably the change, as well as it's just a stressful situation for them. Um, and I didn't not offer food, like they would get food through training, but it was the same thing. Like, here's your reward for working. They're like, no, thank you. I'm like, okay, I put it back. And then we still train, and I'm like, here's your reward. They're like, no, thank you. And then by the third or fourth time, they were eating.
Right. They're like, oh, this is the only thing you're gonna offer me. I guess I'll take that then.
Yep.
But it sounds like tough love, and I guess it is just tough love, but like at the end of the day, your dog needs to eat their kibble. You can't be buying them a different bag every week because that's just not right. Um, at the end of the day, you're doing it for them, and you just need to know in the back of your mind that you're like there was like a study, like, right, your dog will not starve itself unless it's got something like wrong with it and needs to go to the vet. It will not just not eat. It's going to get to the point where it's hungry enough to eat whatever kibble you bought it.
Right, like it'd be the same with people, not to keep going on this tangent. But like if all you offered me was, let's say, chickpeas, because I don't know that I really like those, I'd be like, no, thank you. I'm gonna hold out for my Snickers bar. If you offered me chickpeas twice a day for 3 days, by the third day, I'm probably gonna eat those chickpeas, and I'll be really happy to get them. Like, eh.
Yeah, so best advice would just be hold out, make sure you're not free feeding your dog, and just stay consistent with the one brand of food. You, as the owner, do your research, right, as to what branded food you think is best for your dog. Stick with that food, and they're going to start eating because that's what dogs do, right?
Yep.
Cool. All right, question, right? Yep, cool. Gotcha. As I'm like trying to find my questions. Here they are.
Number 4.
All right, number 4. Okay, I've been teaching my dog a few commands inside because I heard that at the beginning of training, there should be no distractions. How do I know when my dog is ready to add distractions?
I would say when you ask the behavior of them, they do it pretty regularly. Of
Right.
course, they may need a little bit of guidance like here or there, but every time you recall them, they come to you. Every time you say place, they place. It's like, okay, you know this command. Now let's up it a little bit. So I would
Right.
say if they reliably listen to the command.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then my one other thing to add is for people training their dogs at home, sounds like you got the first part great, training them inside, no distractions. Just think about how you're going to hold them accountable, right? So when you add those distractions, if your dog, like let's use place for example, if you place your dog outside, how are you going to hold them accountable? So as an owner, maybe do your research, think about that a bit. We use prong collars and e-collars, so you'd have to do the research on how to use those tools. But that would be my next step. So like, yes, exactly what Susan said, when they're doing the command regularly, but you have to think how you're going to hold them accountable for it later.
Right, like you can't have them off leash and in a place, and then when they
Right.
break, how are you going to put them back? They'll be running around
Exactly.
the yard.
So that would be that. And then just start with little distractions. So if your dog like loves to bark at the mailman or something, right? Like I wouldn't place them outside like as the mailman's going through your neighborhood. I would start out like slowly, and you still want to like gradually build distractions. So cool.
Right. Next, is it possible to get my dog to stop chasing cats and become friends with them?
So here I am about to answer the question before you even finished asking it. So I was about to say anything is possible, you guys. Okay, so yes, it's possible to get your dog to stop chasing cats, right? You have to find a deterrent, I guess, that your dog cares about. So we have to nip that in the bud first. Like you don't get to chase cats. End of discussion. As far as getting your dog to be friends with them, that's a fun one because me personally, like wouldn't even ever want to try that because I worry too much. But here's the thing: why is your dog chasing your cat? Because he wants to eat the cat? Then no. Like being friends with the cat shouldn't even be like on your thought process. Your thought process should be, I want my dog to not chase the cat. Period. Like nothing else after, right? Uh, unless you want them to exist together. But as far as being friends, like we have to, like as humans, realize that this is a dog. This dog doesn't have to be friends with everybody. They just have to behave, right? They have to exist around other people and other animals. They don't need to be buddy buddy with everybody, right? Like this dog might want to eat your cat. It just can't do that. Like that's the end of it. So as far as it being friends with your cat, I don't know, but it is possible to train them to exist together.
Mhm.
And that's all I know about that.
I was smiling as I was reading this question because I knew exactly what both of our answers would be.
Right. I know, because I'm sitting here, as soon as you said I want them to be friends, I was like, so here's the thing, some dogs are that type of dog who want to be friends with everybody. And of course, everybody wants the dog who's friendly with everybody, but that's not always the case. Sometimes we have to adjust our expectations for who our dog is. If you have a dog who likes to chase cats, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's not likely that they're going to be friends.
Mhm.
For me, my goal would be to have them just exist together. Maybe over time, right, of just living together and existing together, their relationship could shift from there. But the goal at the end of the day should be, I just want them to exist together.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that. You said everything I was going to say.
Because I'm cool. Hey, you did my thing.
I know I did.
Oh gosh. And then okay, so how to go about the thing? I already said you would correct them for chasing. But then you would just want to implement training. Like the more training you can give your dog, better. Place being the main one. They just have to exist. Obviously, advocate for your dog in the place. The cat doesn't mess with the dog, but just training and existence work. What are we on? Question 6? Okay. So my husband wants us to get chickens. We have a 4-year-old hound with a high prey drive. Would it be possible for our dog to live with chickens and not spend all day barking at them and trying to eat them?
Yes, as
Can
Rachel
he
said
be
earlier.
can he be friends with the chickens?
As Rachel said earlier, anything's possible. So yes, it's definitely possible, but you're going to have your work cut out for you in the beginning. I may suggest working on the dog and its prey drive first before
Right.
getting the chickens, because otherwise you're just gonna, well, I mean, I'm not gonna speak for you, but it's gonna be a lot of work if you get the chickens and then now you have this dog that's like trying to get to them. So let's work on the dog's prey drive first, getting them to just exist around anything it normally chases, whether it be a cat or like birds or chipmunks, anything like that. Once the dog's in a good spot that way, where it can just exist around those small creatures, then let's talk about the chickens. But I would teach existence first.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, just like we talked about before, you don't want to jump into having a huge distraction for your dog, right? I'm going to imagine that chickens are going to be a pretty big distraction. So exactly like Susan said, just do everything without the chickens and get your dog just in a good mindset. And then just consider the chickens like a distraction for training.
Right.
Right? But you got to build up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything is possible through training, you guys.
Except a dog being friends.
Except making your dog be friends with everybody.
Okay.
Oh, it's your question. I'm looking at my phone like it was my turn.
How do I get my dog to stop whining, pacing, and drooling in the car?
Okay, so whining, pacing, and drooling in the car. So that's going to be like a big mindset thing for your dog, because a lot of those behaviors, I'm going to guess, is going to come from just over arousal or anxiety and things like that. So somebody in this Q&A who's not me has a super cool video about something called low level dial-up. I would check that out because it's going to make what I'm about to say make sense. So you would want to teach your dog to have a calm mindset in the car. Having that calm mindset is going to eliminate the pacing, right? First off, because okay, so to have a calm mindset in the dog, you to have a calm mindset in the car, your dog is going to need to be lying down. Because just like with place, we condition place to mean lying down because like the mind follows the body, right? So if the body's lying down and calm, the mind's going to be calm. So you want your dog to be in a down in the car. We don't want to tell the dog the actual command down or lay because we can't enforce that the same way like while we're driving. So you would do a low level dial up. Check out Susan's awesome video on that to see how to teach your dog that low level dial up. But then, yeah, just have your dog down in a car. That's going to help the mindset. So that's going to automatically eliminate the pacing because they're going to be lying down. As far as the whining, it could just take care of that. You might have to correct the whining some too. But like the mindset should calm, so the whining should go away. And then the drooling, hopefully with the mindset being calm, the dog's not drooling. But other than that, I don't know, put a towel down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the things like drooling and panting, you just can do your best to change the mindset, and hopefully, like the whole like dog will calm down. No.
Yeah. So we use the same rules for the car as we do for the kennel.
Mm-hmm.
So it creates a whole calmer mindset for the dogs. So the dogs are not allowed to rush into the car. Dogs not allowed to rush out. When they get in the car, they're in a down. They're in a down the whole time it's moving. And then they're in a down until the hatch or the door would open. Once the door opens, the dog can stand, but they can't race out of the car. So that just creates a whole overall mind reset for the dog. Nice and calm. And like she said, the other stuff is just the shrapnel effect. So the main issue is your dog is nervous and anxious in the car. Let's fix that. And then those shrapnel effects will slowly go away. So the whining should go away, the panting should go away, and hopefully most of the drooling. The whining, I normally let the whining go because it will go away on its own unless it's a shrill whine. Like, so I consider, can the dog stop doing it? Most dogs, if they're so anxious in the beginning stages of rehab, they can't stop whining. That's just their negative energy. Outlet. Yeah, the negative energy is leaving the body, so I let that go. But if they make a shrill whine, I'm like, you can control that. So I will correct a loud shrill whine. But if it's just like a low whine, I let that go because that'll solve itself.
Right. Yeah, makes sense to me. Makes sense. Yeah, I forgot to even mention like the cars like the crate, so that was perfect. But yeah, it's all about the mindset, you guys. We want to like help our dogs just be calm. Are we on 8? Okay, so I'm trying to train my dog, but she's completely uninterested in everything I try to do with her. She doesn't care about the food or the treats I have. What should I do?
Okay, so my question is, are you feeding your dog as well as offering food when you're training? Because that's going to help you.
Right.
If you're feeding and then, like, let's say you feed morning and evening, but then in the afternoon you're like, let's try to work on some training. If your dog is, well, with this dog in particular, it's not going to want food. But if you use its daily kibble for training, the food drive's going to be up there. So the dog learns they have to work for their food. There's no more free meals, right? So the dog's working, and then as your reward, here's your kibble. Now, at first, your dog might say, no thanks, like I said earlier. And I'm like, okay, put it back. We're still going to work, though. And then after you're done working, here's your kibble. After a little bit, they're like, okay, I'm kind of hungry, like, I'll eat this. But that's what I would suggest is instead of doing the feeding the way you're doing, which I'm assuming is twice a day or free feeding, then I would just use their daily food. So it's going to be the same amount. They're going to eat the same amount they would if you fed them, but you're only using it to train them. And then you'll see their drive go up because they'll actually want to work for their food.
Right. No, that's perfect. Like exactly what I said earlier. Like they're not going to allow themselves to starve. So if their only way to get this food is to be engaged with training with you, then they're going to be engaged and they're going to want to work for that food.
Side note. Sorry. So I have a client right now who's being picky with their food, which
Mm-hmm.
had inspired me to the earlier question.
Mm-hmm.
But this one client I have, her puppy is being picky with the food, and she's tried several different brands. Um, so when I went to her house, I do have like some higher value treats, and then I also have dog kibble, like just a lamb and rice dog kibble. So while we were working, I offered her some of the higher value food or treat, which was just like a dehydrated fish treat. And then some of the time I offered her that dry kibble. She ate it enthusiastically. She
Mm-hmm.
ate it. And I told the owner, I said, this is just that dry kibble. Like my dog food that I feed my dogs, that's what I gave to this puppy. And she ate it enthusiastically. And the owner tried the dog food I use with her dog, and the dog wouldn't eat it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm there for training, the dog eats it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, how are you interacting with your dog as well? Because with this same client, she said her dog doesn't get very enthusiastic about training. She'll do it, but she's not like very excited to do it. When I'm there, that dog's very excited to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So just pay attention to like your mindset and how engaged you are and your feelings. Like, do you feel guilty about like you're only giving your dog kibble and that's not really that great? She's not going to work for kibble.
Right.
Or are you like, yeah, this is an awesome fun time? Like, again, the energy thing. Dogs will match your energy. So it's just
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like the guy to that last part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you answer the question exactly like I would. Like, it's great because when you're training your own dog and when you have a board and train, all of the food can come from you. So that's going to help the prey drive, right? So use that to your advantage. Like, your dog's only going to get fed through working. That's going to make working super awesome, like a fun part of the day, right? So yeah, and then mixing in if you want to like throw in a few high value treats here and there. That's going to make that, it's going to be a variable reward for that high value treat. So the dog's going to be excited each time you give them food, and they'll be enthusiastic about the kibble too. But just knowing that maybe there's going to be like a higher value treat is going to like make them want to work more too. So that's cool. Again, not my question. I keep taking my phone like, okay, let me ask you another question, Susan.
Okay, you ready for this one?
Oh gosh. No, I don't know how long you should do something because no, I don't know how to judge time. Okay.
Okay, number 9. What is your favorite breed?
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna ask me a sassy question.
No?
What is my favorite breed? All of them. Okay, so my go-to answer for that is Newfies. I love Newfoundlands. I don't own one. I've never owned one, and I don't know when I will be at the point in my life when I can. But they're great. They're huge. They're fluffy. They've got like the big, drooly, disgusting mouths, and I love Newfies. And that being said, I do have a close second now. Is Mal's, which I need to like turn off from my brain because I can't have a Mal right now. But yeah, no offense, Gaia, to my pity who I have, but those are probably like up there on the list.
Top 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows I'm partial to Malinois.
Are you?
Yeah. You don't see a lot of them because you shouldn't see a lot of them.
That's why I'm like trying to get it out of my mindset.
They are insane. But they're awesome looking. They want to please. They're usually one step ahead of you. So, and I noticed that with Sadie, when you're training them, they'll know what you're going to ask them before you ask them. And they're notorious for like offering you 10 behaviors before you ask them one behavior. Because they're like, how about this and this and this and that and this and this and that? And you're like,
and you're
no.
like,
yeah, you're like, hold on, I was going to train you something totally different. Like,
oh gosh.
Yeah, so they're pretty awesome. Second favorite would be German Shepherds because they're equally mistaken for each other, but they are totally different. Yeah, those would be the top 2.
Right. I guess if I'm gonna say a third, I should say Pitties because Gaia is sitting right next to me. No, but those are like dream dogs. Like one day I'd love to own a Mal or a Pitty. I mean, a Mal or a Newfie. Yeah, but that's a fun question. Yeah, Newfies are cool. They're like Great Pyrenees. Most people know those big white ones, but they're black and they're like huge and they're so slobbery and hairy. I need to learn how to groom a dog before I get one of those.
I can go without the slobber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty gross. But they're so cute and they're like, I knew one and he was like 160 pounds and he was just huge and just awesome.
Mm.
And I'm like, go big or go home. So like the bigger the better. Like
Yeah.
my guy on my little 50-pound pocket pitty right now, I'm like, you're so tiny.
Yeah.
You're so tiny, Gaia. But yeah, that was fun. I like the newsies. They're cuddling. Yeah, I definitely thought you were gonna ask me a duration question because
I know.
anyone who's watched any of the Q&As, because I seem to get like 1,000 of those questions at the beginning. I have no sense of like time, so I definitely thought I was gonna get one of those questions. Okay, so for question number 10, this is question 100. I feel like we should have a party. So question number 100. Okay. I want to train my dog agility for fun, but I'm worried that after encouraging her to jump over the hurdles and the agility ring, that she may try to jump my fence. Should I just not train her agility then?
No, dogs are very situational, so they know context. I mean, I'm sure is if your dog, no, sorry, I'm just gonna say no.
Right.
They know context, right? So if your dog was already trying to jump over the fence, then yes, maybe this would help them jump over the fence. But it's not gonna make a dog want to do that. Just by teaching them like, hey, you can jump over this obstacle, I would not worry about that risk.
Right.
If you have a fenced-in yard, even if you have a fenced-in yard, I never have my dogs outside by themselves. Like, I even feel weird if I forget a poop bag and my dogs are outside because they're on an invisible fence. I feel weird going in to get a bag and going right back out because you don't know what's going to happen. So I wouldn't advise that your dog's outside in a fenced-in yard by itself anyway. And so you'll know if your dog's like going to look at the fence, you can correct that for them jumping. But those two don't have anything to do with each other. Like teaching them agility, I would not worry about them trying to jump over the fence. Agility is just like a fun thing for them to do. So
Right. And like, I love exactly what you said. But like if your dog was gonna jump over the fence, whether or not you agility train them, like it could happen. Like if the right motivator, like a squirrel on the other side of the fence, if they see that, if they were gonna jump over the fence, they're gonna do it anyways. Exactly like you said, the picture's different. Agility, hurdle, they're not gonna look at that and be like, I have a fence at home that I'm thinking maybe is about this height. I could probably jump my fence too. Like it's just different. And then also, if you want to think about it, like that would be a fun outlet for them. So it's like even if your dog acts like they're going to jump the fence and you correct them for it because you're outside supervising them, then in the agility ring, them jumping over hurdles will be a fun outlet for them, right? So no, homie, you can't jump this fence. But yeah, like when we're doing agility and having like fun time here, yeah, now show me how cool you can jump, right? So that'd be like a fun outlet.
well, yeah, now thinking about it, so in agility, when you teach a dog to jump over, they get rewarded right away. So it's a totally different picture. Like, yes, the dog's still jumping over a similar item, like fence versus an agility jump, but it's totally different because in agility, when the dog jumps over, they get a reward. So that's their motivator. You jump over this hurdle, here's your reward. They wouldn't put two and two together and be like, I'm going to jump over this big, huge fence. You know, it's a different setting.
Yeah, and you also think about the picture of the fence, right? So hurdles are just like that and then one thing here. Where the fence, it's like it's a solid thing and the dog's jumping over that. Now I know there are hurdles that look like that too. For the most part, it's just one pole. So that for your dog is a completely different picture than like running towards like a wall.
Right.
So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But like Susan said also, if your dog's outside, best that you're out there with them watching them. So then if anything happens, you can correct it. I had Gaia outside earlier today. It felt great outside. I was lying down on the deck and like I closed my eyes and was just relaxing, right? I couldn't do that because I'm like, I can't see Gaia, like, right? Like, so, which is a little extreme, but it's like, I have a pretty big yard. And I'm like, I can't see her or hear her or anything from right here. So just like monitor your dogs and you'll be fine. Your dog
Yeah.
won't maturity. So yeah, that was question 100. Can you believe it?
Oh,
I
that's
remember
crazy.
I remember when we first did our like first Q&A back in Rhode Island.
I remember
Like,
doing it, but I don't remember the actual Q&A.
oh gosh, no, I don't actually remember. Like no, no, I remember like sitting there on my puke yellow couch that I had there that I loved, and like freaking out before we did it because I'd never done something like this before, and we did go over the questions together then, right? So it's like
Yeah.
we were kind of prepared. So
Yeah.
we each knew the 10 questions right now. I only have my 5 that I get, and she has her 5. So it's fun. Look how far we've come. We answered 100 dog training questions. I
Sweet.
can't wait to answer 100 more.
1,000.
Yes. I was just saying 100 more, but you just talked about 1,000.
I'm gonna go to the next one. Next leap.
Right. So yeah, keep asking us your questions. We love it. We love trying to help as many people as we can. So yeah, ask your questions. We've already answered 100, so it's like it doesn't matter if you have a question. Don't worry about if it's been asked before. We're happy to answer it again. Your situation could be a little bit different than the question we answered before. Yeah, ask us your questions. We want to help.
All right.
So
Thank you for joining us.
see y'all next week.